Hey guys, welcome back to the Hilton True Wealth podcast. I'm Mark Miller, manager of the Hilton Family Office, and today I'm joined by Dr. Raj Kumar, chairman of United Doctors of America, and we'll be discussing today general wellness, be talking about a lot of different topics around wellness. And Raj, thanks so much for being here again today.
No.
And I'm hoping at this point that the listeners really know who you are because we've talked about some great things already. You have a wealth of knowledge. So in general, why don't we start with the overall wellness of the population in the United States right now, which I think people generally know, but give some more details.
Yeah, some scary details. No, but I love being here, Mark. Thank you very much for having me. First and
Absolutely,
foremost.
our pleasure.
Gosh, where do I begin? I mean, we got to go like to the beginning of time. But what I can say is this much. Based on sort of national statistics for the United States in particular, what our government and private sector have shared to the general population, chronic disease is our hugest problem today.
Yeah.
Obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and these lead into issues like hypertension, high blood pressure, stroke, and so many other anomalies, even autoimmune, which is a whole nother bag of worms over a bottle of tequila. That's a whole other thing. Wellness keeps getting redefined in every generation or every decade, in my small, humble opinion. I mean, I've only been on this rented dirt for so much time, but this is what I'm understanding. Chronic disease today is hitting 70% of our population, it's said, in the United States. That's huge. So that means at some point or another in everybody's life, from childhood to our adulthood to a different stage of life, something has touched all of us. They've said that obesity is in 20% of our youth already. And chronic disease costs the American public, you, me, and everybody else, $4.3 trillion a year from what Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. has been sharing with us from our administration, right? Secretary of Health and Human Services. So once you get some of these statistics sort of wrapped around your head, you start realizing that, oh my gosh, we're like walking, talking diseases. And maybe where's it all coming from? We have a much more sedentary life, right? We're all sitting more so. We're sitting indoors. What we eat is of question, and part of it could, blame the manufacturers or the lobbyists, but it's also the decisions we make. Exercise, we don't even know what that looks like. I mean, I'm that guy, pay for a gym membership and don't know how to use it. And then stress.
I doubt that. You look pretty good.
Oh, so. Marcus, I'm going to get you an ophthalmologist. Okay, I'll help you out. One of my buddies, but too kind. Thank you. I could let a few go. If anybody wants it, it's free. All right. Stress. America is notorious for stress. We work weekends, we work long hours. We're all about long days in schooling, and I'm all about a good work ethic. Don't get me wrong, but our stress maybe is a little different because we keep chasing this American dream. And then on top of that, our sleep patterns, our sleep hygiene is not so good, right? We are watching TV late at night. We're playing with all of our devices and doom scrolling down Insta. Yeah. We're listening to music, so we don't sleep enough, too much light before our sleep. So there's a whole slew of configurations or lifestyle that affect all of the components that I kind of shared, which are really all sort of lifestyle.
And our culture has fed into this.
Yes.
How we live, how we do things, it just feeds into the cycle of health concerns.
There's a lot of truth.
When you say chronic disease, specifically, what do you mean? What diseases are like the worst ones?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I may not say that I'm the expert there, but if you look at like the primary care world, right, sort of general health care, the chronic disease, as I somewhat delineated, you'll see that people have like high blood pressure. They are having some glucose or sugar issues. That's what diabetes is, right? It's even in my own family. Cardiovascular health, which is, heart health. Everybody could either have clots or high cholesterol or heart murmurs, atrial fibrillation. There's a bunch of different things that are wrapped around heart health that just goes into hundreds of different directions. So the word chronic, it just means constant or long-term, right? If you hear, so chronic disease as opposed to something that's one and done, like a flu. A flu, you don't look at it like a chronic disease. It's like you have a flu, you get better in a few days, a week or two, and it's done. But diabetes doesn't just disappear like that.
Right.
Blood pressure doesn't just disappear like that. Your cholesterol levels don't just disappear like that. So that's what we're talking about when we say chronic, something that's ongoing. If you keep eating at McDonald's, isn't your cholesterol just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher, and your glucose levels getting higher and higher? So that's what I'm talking about, right? Something that keeps a constant beat on the body, and the body is always trying to adapt and
constantly
adjust.
pounding away negatively at your body and all the systems in your body.
And your body only has a certain level of resilience, adaptation, adjustment.
Yes.
Right? So that's what we're talking about, Smoking, vaping, those are some other elements that kind of touch into our wellness. And a lot of this is like layman general knowledge. I mean, anybody has this kind of sense, and the internet gives you so much information. So this chronic disease, I'm giving more credit to it because of what Secretary Kennedy has done. I mean, if you look at a guy like him, if I go backwards in his sort of etiology, his own history, he was a drug addict. He's a trust fund baby, if I may say, meaning he comes from a very high net worth and legacy family, right? Historical family, the Kennedys. And then the man is technically an environmental attorney. He's not a healthcare professional. But wow, all of these three elements I've just outlined has given him the strength and the power to do what he's doing now. He is making medicine sexy again, if I can say that. But he's making the conversation relevant. He's making it safe. He's now making it a little hip.
And whether you agree with him or not, he's making the conversations happen.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of conversations.
With him, President Trump, the Department of Health and Human Services, MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, the movement, the organization. I mean, when was the last time you even knew that there was a Secretary of Health and Human Services, let alone knowing the individual's name? You haven't. I mean, he's become that popular now. And it's not because he's got all his muscles and he's jacked up, or he's a good-looking guy, or he's got some letters behind his name. No, because he's speaking like truth. He's speaking real goodness that is now becoming very sensible, taking us back to some common sense. Come on. You can tell a 5-year-old child, eat the salad or eat the burger, right? Have a glass of water or have a glass of whiskey. The 5-year-old is going to tell you what's right. So don't tell me like we as adults.
If it's a 5-year-old drinking whiskey, there's real problems there.
Oh, gosh. All right. Fair enough. So, and all of this permeates into mental health too. I mean, the mind body, I think, is very much one and the same. I've been on the Senate floor advocating for mental health in different ways previously. So that's also an exciting topic for me. But what I'm getting at is that he is showing us these stats and pieces of information about wellness and chronic disease.
Sure.
And another point that he's also shared, by making information a little more readily available, making it a little more safe and comfortable to discuss, the general population, even professionals, have some supporters, some have not supported, but it's allowed for that democratic dialogue. And that's how you start getting things done, right? Information, education, dialogue. Then you get to action plans and maybe legislation and patterns changing, right? But what I like, what he's also done, is that he has found a way to implement some good changes. He's moderating some elements of vaccines because maybe there's something connected or not connected to autism. He's going in and changing the food that is served in the cafeterias of our children, right? Like elementary school, middle school, high school. He's even changing the curricula, the instruction, the rubric in medical schools so we can have more knowledge on nutrition. Doctors do not normally get formal training in nutrition unless they learn it on the streets. Failure, mistakes happen with patients. They do their own reading. It's not in the curriculum. I mean, maybe we had some in biochemistry, that class, but it's not normally there. And people think, oh, the doctor knows everything. Hell no, we don't. So we won't know everything about wellness either. So you kind of learn those arts after all of the training. More often than none. So he's been hitting some of these things. He's been making pledges with hospitals that they're going to do better. He's been fighting some of those big corporate giants like Monsanto and others with glyphosate and matters that we can go into all other days. And saying, hey, why do we have these dyes in our food? What's going on with our soil? Why are these big companies affecting our food chain supply? And all this comes back to wellness. And if I really had to put my finger on it, I'm no scientist, but I think the biggest piece of our wellness or chronic disease is what we're putting into our body. Right? So you can tell me.
And the food supply is so much worse. I remember years ago, I read a book called Grain Brain, and I think he was a neurosurgeon, and he would go to doctors events and conferences, and there'd be 200 doctors in there, and he'd put in front of him a table, and there would be like 4 things sitting there. There was like a banana, a piece of whole grain bread, a pile of sugar, and a Snickers bar.
Okay.
And then he'd have all the doctors raise their hands. What's the worst thing? What's the worst thing? And the vast majority of the doctors, of course, would say, that's Snicker bar. That's the worst thing you can have. And he'd say, no, the worst thing is the whole grain piece of bread.
Yeah.
Because those other things, they go into your system, and the things that aren't good in those, they're out of your system in relatively a quick period of time. He said the actual whole grain piece of bread, the gluten and all of the stuff and the manufactured stuff that has happened over the years with our, and he was just specifically talking about flour that's been bioengineered. And his whole thing is that that's created gluten and other things that have happened in the sense that stay long in your system and have massive effects long term. So I don't know whether that's all 100% right or not, but I thought it was very interesting. And a lot of people that talk about going gluten-free and all of that have read his book. And those things, those manufactured things that have gotten into our food system have been obviously very detrimental, and every year become worse and worse what people are actually putting in their mouths.
Right,
you
right.
know?
No, I'm not the expert here, but I've heard these type of dialogues and studies too. It's not even that, for example, grains or breads or whatever that food item we may be talking about being the issue. It's that process behind it, that process.
Yeah.
Because the same materials are different in another country.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe what we have in the United States. Our processing has changed. So our milks, our meats, our grains, all of these things. And that's why it's so important. None of us should take general information, even what we're talking about. You got to talk to your healthcare provider.
And by the way,
advisors.
we're not giving medical advice, and especially Dr. Raj is not giving medical advice. So very important. And because we don't want people acting just a blanket on things that we say or anybody else says. You need to do your own research.
Correct.
You need to talk to your own doctor. You need to get advice from different areas, and then use your best judgment to help yourself physically.
As much as we're all the same, we're also have big differences, and our bodies change over time too. So that can change how you eat and how you medicate or how you carry your life. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a biohacker. Okay, and I've mentioned this in various other podcasts. And I'm always looking for different ways because I'm a certified high performance coach. So I'm always looking at what are the optimal ways to do things. But I think it's interesting because even for me, and just being transparent here, I tend to have a lot of really good habits, and my morning routine is an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours long. I'm doing all of those good things, but where I fall short is in the eating department. And I'll eat well for a period of time, and then I'll go, oh, I can just have that. And especially when you do a lot of these high performance things, you're working out, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're losing weight and all that. You're thinking, I can do that. I can cheat. But then it goes back to what you were saying. It goes back to then you're turning to our food supply, and of course psychologically. And I think I think some companies may do this on purpose. Maybe they sit around in the boardrooms and talk about these things, or maybe in their conferences or whatever. But I think generally, like when you talk about the food supply, a lot of it comes from, oh, well, our population is exploding, not just the United States, but the entire world. How can we make what we have, the resources we have, go further? And then it's gone down this path of, well, we need to bioengineer this and engineer that and figure this out so everybody can get fed.
I think it's very interesting what you're saying, because sometimes we want to believe that there are these evil empires that are trying to destroy humanity. But if you look at the uber wealthy, if I can say, or the uber elite, they have children, they have loved ones. And McDonald's is going to be in their town, and so is Wendy's and whatever other, organization you can think of, fast food. So I don't always think that they're here to destroy the world.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reality might be, how can we get to the bottom dollar? If it means our Lucky Charms are going to be a prettier color than the Lucky Charms in Europe, we'll use certain food dyes. If we can use glyphosate, for example, in our wheat and our farming, so that it can produce a larger yield, which produces more profits, will use it, but then there's a side effect that could be harmful to the human body and get confused with gluten or celiac or something or another. So I don't think that's always the intention.
Yeah.
But there is a cost cutting and a profit minded approach, which then makes for those side effects.
Sure.
So,
And we know what the results are, that our food supply is getting
yeah,
more tainted year after year after year.
there's some sad truth in it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing some things on YouTube. They were showing, I don't know if it was China or somewhere else, so I don't want to misspeak inappropriately, but they were showing how they could make lettuce and eggs artificially from some chemical. They were pouring these chemicals into some vat of some boiling pot. I know this sounds like witchcraft, but excuse me altogether.
Yeah, well, hey, I
This
don't
is what I
doubt
do on
it.
weekends. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically, so, and all of a sudden, an egg was born, lettuce was born, and it came from a decent source. It seemed very reliable. But we talk about genetically modified products. This could be our next phase where it is just lacking nutrition. It's all chemical. You might be eating a pill in the future that is your lunch or your dinner.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not completely far-fetched, but we have to take some ownership too, as consumers, as users, as
course.
patients. Yes, our food supply is not what it used to be. We're all living in some urban setting. We're not living in the jungle. We're not growing our own food. So at least control what you can control is how I look at it. Because you're going to go to your local grocery store, you know, you're going to go to your local restaurant, you're going to do your local home cooking. Most of us are not living on a farm. So there's a little bit of a reality and practicality too. So just make better choices where you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that comes down, you know, the high performance training stuff that I do.
I mean, that's
Ultimately,
wild.
it is
Yeah.
your responsibility. Okay. Because here's the reality. There are so many things, and you know, our podcast is called True Wealth because it's about balance in your life. It's not just amassing a pile of money. I have you on because we're talking about, well, you know, your health can directly affect your wealth.
Oh yeah,
Massively.
Health is wealth. You ever
Yeah,
heard the
yeah,
expression?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
When
so
health goes, everything stops.
there has to
including
be a
your wealth.
balance. There
Yeah,
has to be a
yeah.
balance, and you know, our feeling is that you still need to take micro steps, though. For instance, like one of the things that we talk about, and you talk about, eating better and making better choices. Well, you can't sit there if you're overweight. Let's say you're 30 pounds overweight. You can't sit there and go, I'm 30 pounds overweight. Oh my gosh, well, I want to be 30 pounds less. And you're looking out a year from now where you're 30 pounds less, and you're focusing on that year from now when you're 30 pounds less. No, it literally is an hour-to-hour thing.
Yeah, yeah.
What is you? And we also call it in that space stacking, where let's say you and the opportune time to, for instance, since we're talking about eating better, the opportune time to eat better is at that specific time when you're saying to yourself, "Hey, I'm going to have some Cheetos." Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you go get the Cheetos. Okay. You're sitting down on the couch and you're eating a Cheeto and realize, I just started eating Cheetos. I don't want to eat Cheetos.
Yeah.
I'm a person that doesn't eat Cheetos.
Right.
You eat that one Cheeto and then you go put the Cheetos back or whatever, or you throw the Cheetos in the trash, whatever. It comes down to those hourly, daily decisions that you make that then stack upon when they're positive behaviors specifically related to your health. And then we start talking about exercise, all of that type of stuff. It's really a day-to-day type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you were looking in my window last night. You saw me with my orange fingers eating my Cheetos.
No, yeah, you were not eating Cheetos last night.
I know.
I had dinner with you last night. I know you weren't eating Cheetos.
It's after.
Yeah.
Mark.
Afterwards.
Okay, anyway.
Okay.
No, but you're absolutely right. So speaking of wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The families, the organizations, the individuals. Let's learn from them for a moment. Mm-hmm. We might think in weeks or days sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
These folks think in decades,
Mm-hmm.
right? What am I doing in the next decade, the second decade, the third decade, now? And they're acting in small habits and behaviors to manage those expectations of the next decade, the next decade, the legacy of the next generation.
Very good.
So you're absolutely right. Those small, consistent habits actually make for your success. Mm-hmm. It's not the overnight millionaire or the overnight company exit or acquisition that makes your great path. It's all of those steps in between. So you're right. Like when I'm eating my Cheeto, I got to stop. because
Yeah.
Mark called me out right on
Yeah.
live stream here about my Cheetos. But you're right. It's
I've
all
got
those
cameras
little
on you
habits.
every day,
Oh, I knew
Dr.
it.
Raj.
Oh
So
my gosh. All right, back to my apples and broccoli. All right.
Yeah.
But yes, you're totally right about that. And we all lose our ways on some level with regard to that. But it's those daily things that can really change some of our outcomes. Easier said than done because we have so much stimulus and attraction, and we're all busy in our lives, so we kind of
Yeah.
go down that wrong path.
You-
But
yeah.
it's worth it to make those changes.
Before
Yeah.
we started, we talked about a guy that's online, Brian Johnson, I believe is his name, and he was a billionaire that destroyed his body, becoming a billionaire by eating terrible, the
Okay.
stress,
Yeah.
massive stress, and just said, "Oh my gosh, I can't take this." So he probably went overboard, way overboard, but he spent a lot of money.
Okay.
On an annual basis, $1 million, $2 million, doing all these different things and all that.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, he's massively improved his health. But he's part of it. He started a company alongside it and all that. But the reason I mentioned that is he's a billionaire. In that space, what we're finding, like in the family office space, longevity, health is huge. And the reason why I think that's important for anybody listening today, there may be some billionaires listening, but mostly people that aren't billionaires, that they have the resources, they have the money to be focusing on this. And when you go to a lot of the events that we have in the family office space, or they're talking about money, but they're also talking about longevity.
Yeah.
Or there's longevity breakouts and things like that. So they're really on the cutting edge. So anyway, talking about along those lines, give us some of your thoughts about what's changing in the world of longevity and people taking more control of their health.
Got it. And I love it. I'll preface it with this thought. Health is wealth, right? We hear this expression. I made a little joke earlier. When your health gets compromised, your wealth gets compromised. And wealth need not be in the formation of just money, right? Your enjoyment of life, other success, your loved ones, maybe it's your passion, your work.
Your
Everything
mind,
comes to a standstill.
all of it, yes.
You know, my mom is going through chemotherapy. She's been in treatment for a year and a half. I feel like I'm failing her as a son and as a professional. It really hurts my heart. I mean, there are days that she just came out of the hospital a week ago. I cry like a little kid because it's frustrating and nothing else matters. When she's in these very, very hard moments in the hospital, like you don't know if you're going to have her anymore. I don't care about anything. Take a piece of my soul, God. Take my clothes, take my bank accounts, take all my little materialistic garbage, because there's nothing like life. There's nothing like health.
Sure.
You don't take any of this with you, ladies and gentlemen, right?
None
of this goes with us.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because once we had a billionaire patient, this is in Chicago, and myself and some others were caring for this kind gentleman, and he had a terminal diagnosis. And I remember we're all walking out of the exam room, and he just caught me by chance, and he pulled on my coat, my white coat, and he said, "Doc, please save me. I'll give you anything. I've got yachts, bank accounts, whatever you want." And I turned to him. He's lying in the bed, and I said, "I'm so sorry, my friend. It's time you speak to our Maker, right? God." Because even he couldn't escape death with everything he's amassed, right? His importance in society, his dollars, his materialism. So it was very humbling, even for me in my earlier years, to see like this, like nobody's immune. And those parties, when you talk about longevity, that's why I thought of this story. When they're trying to work on longevity, this is how they're trying to amass or stretch their wealth, right? So that's the psychological mindset connection.
I think many of them are that way.
Yeah. Well, they have the income, right? Big athletes spend $1 million, $2 million a year on their fitness. So why shouldn't a billionaire do the same? Because again, it goes back to health is wealth. Without that health, without that life, you can't do anything. Everything stops. Everything stops when you have a little cold, right? Or you have a heart attack, or some terminal sickness. I have another friend of mine who's an attorney. His wife is going through hell. His whole law practice has just fallen to the side. He's taking care of his wife like a good husband, a good father would. And it's flipped their home, their business, everything upside down because you're fighting for your life. I mean, it should be that way. So this is sometimes we miss until it knocks on our door. But if you do all of this preventive or these small habits in advance, hopefully you can avert some of that pathway. So
Yeah.
we should pay attention to these things sooner than
You know,
later.
it's
you
funny
know?
as us as human beings,
Mm,
sometimes really bad things need to happen to
yeah,
us
to wake up.
Yes,
Yeah, to get that
absolutely.
slap in the face.
For
Yeah.
me, I had to have an autoimmune disease
Yeah.
and then fight and get over that
Yeah.
autoimmune disease to realize how important health was.
Right.
And I had so many other things in my life that were going fantastically well, but I didn't have my health. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to fix this
Yeah.
so I can enjoy my life. Now, I'm a
Yeah.
spiritual person, and I've always agreed that if God takes me today, I'll feel blessed. If He lets me live a longer life, I'll feel blessed.
Yes.
And
yes. Yeah.
so I'm of that philosophy, but I want to do what I can
Right.
to live the healthiest
Yeah.
life, to enjoy the time that I have here.
Of course.
And
Of course.
I think we all need to try to focus on that the best that we
Yeah.
possibly can, and do what we can to make our health better.
Yeah.
So changing on a little more down to earth type of stuff. I went to kind of a longevity event, and there was an ex-football player there, great guy, super wonderful guy, very into health, and and he said, you know what? Everybody talks about working out. Everybody talks about working out and eating better and all of that. He says, actually, I think the two most important things for your health are sleep, number one, and number two is breath work. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And then he talked about how the breathing and then oxygenation coming into your blood and all of that. So anyway, I just was kind of throwing that out there, maybe to talk about going a little bit a different direction of individual things to do. But I mean, obviously eating right is what you put in your mouth is very important. But he was saying the number one thing is maybe sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having proper rest in your life.
That's interesting you say that, because I want to share with you about an organization we're working with through our group, United Doctors of America. Here's what I'll say about sleep. Studies say sleep makes for our peace, it affects our inflammation, it affects our memory, it affects our immunity, and that list can go on and on. So I can see the importance of that. There's no doubt about that. It's sort of a reset, a power down, like on our laptops, on our computers. So I can see why sleep is very important, because we can't escape it. For the most part, whoever you are, sleep is still very relevant as a human being.
Yeah.
But the breath work, I've been learning about that. So I'm going to make a little confession here. As an MD in the United States, our education is based on a lot of, how can I say, Rockefeller type pre-programming of the days earlier, right? It's centered around
the Rockefeller were very involved with like the pharmaceutical industry and the health industry kind of early on.
Right, correct.
Early days of the AMA, all of that type of thing, right?
Yes, you know your history, correct. So this was all about prescriptions, big pharma, surgical procedures. A lot of it was dollar driven, some was, medicine and health driven, etc. So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but for me, as a brown immigrant Indian kid, I grew up around Ayurvedic medicine. So I saw, my grandmothers, my aunties, how they did the old ways of India. Then fast forward in modern times, I've gone through, the U.S. educational system, especially on the healthcare front. And what happens is you get programmed. Whatever field of industry you are, your expertise, it could be law, engineering, business, medicine, you are programmed in that educational space. It's just a reality. So that's all you know. And I have, because of my mom's situation and what we're doing with United Doctors of America, both very individually and selfishly, I'm in a stage where I'm becoming a little bit reprogrammed. I'm seeing wellness and longevity and the gut microbiome and anti-aging and regenerative medicine, whatever label you want to give it. Sometimes it's like a fad, where I have opened up my eyes a lot more to the wellness space. And we've actually taken action on it because of some of my own personal failures and shortcomings, but also from the exposure that I'm getting because I'm more open-minded compared to what I was before. I mean, just mom, after 6 months of chemotherapy, and I've used, I have good connections, if you don't mind me saying, and I've used my toolbox, and, we have 5 oncologists, we've got top medical centers, I'm talking with CEOs, nurses, made a lot of good friends, and services and care for her,
Mhm.
and still there's no solution. And I'm sometimes wondering, what does someone do who's not in healthcare? They die. They're waiting for care and they die looking for that chemotherapy on some level.
Right.
And so if I'm able to do what I can do with all these resources and still hit a wall where I cannot progress, then I'm missing something. That's what
Yes.
I'm saying.
Right.
I'm
Oh,
missing something.
absolutely.
There's more
Sure.
to this care than what I feel I have the IQ for. So I have some shortcomings, some failure that I need to work on. And so I've been going through that phase of reprogramming with others around me, be it friends, colleagues, other experts, and the like on my sort of re-education trail, I'll call it. And because of that, our group has recently interfaced with this wonderful organization called Hippocrates Wellness that is in Palm Beach, Florida. And they do, for 70 years, they've been doing this. So they're not some new kids on the block. They have been introducing wellness to the world since 70 years ago to now, with even new things like energy medicine, vibration, medication too, infrared, red light therapy, peptide care, all kinds of services on a 55-acre beautiful compound that is like isolated from the world,
Wow.
a certain plant-based diet, sort of fitness, breathing exercises, which I've been learning, which has been a little eye-opener, sleeping habits, and they have this beautiful facility where they are with
I
you
love that.
for
I need to
days
come down
weeks.
and
Yes,
visit there.
you must.
I love it.
I've been there several times. What a
Yeah.
tremendous team. The founders are a gift to our humanity and medicine. And I have started working with them more individually as well as through our group, United Doctors of America, which has helped open up my little obstinate and arrogant mind to all of this wellness. And I would love for the world to see this kind of a thing more and more. And that's a little bit of how I pushed to start United Doctors of America, if I can say. I've seen, I myself, I've gone through rape, domestic violence, a marital affair, cancer scare. I lived in poverty at one point in my life. I've seen a lot of death and dying in medicine. I even told you what happened with COVID, losing 2 colleagues and 5 family members. And so I started realizing that I want to shift my life's work and my life purpose in my 4th decade of life, 40s. I want to do something with meaning and purpose, and that's how United Doctors of America was born. I have enough to eat. I don't need to keep chasing money anymore. So do something that has meaning. My child will be proud of me. I impact my community. And this has been that vessel, United Doctors of America, with myself and my team. I cannot do this alone. And we've interfaced now with Hippocrates Wellness Institute, and they service, politicians, celebrities, the everyday person, business folks.
Yeah.
And people have
that's great.
reversed some of their diseases. They've had better fitness, detox. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
what's been
what
happening
you're
over
talking
there.
about
So
now.
it's woken me up, is what I'm trying to say, Mark, which excites me.
Sure, yeah. And I'm really hoping more MDs and doctors and have gone through more of the traditional education and been a traditional practice, start learning those things more. Because it's more integrated. It's more what you've talked about in a previous pod, the holistic approach.
Correct.
Glad you're talking about these things because I think it's so important. And again, I think it takes us kind of to that higher level too, like Robert Kennedy Jr., where he is trying to push that a little bit. He's trying to just open people's eyes a little bit more. Not saying this is the exact way that it has to be done, but that I want to have more conversations about this and how can we be more holistic, looking at the whole person and a preventative care as opposed to just the symptom care, so to speak.
No. And I'm very passionate about the subject matter. I think if I may say what Kennedy's doing, which I find very impressive, we've always had the power as the people, the people who choose what goes into our belly. We've always had that power. But I think what he's done, he and his team, it's never one party, they have reminded us that we have that power. If you look at some of the statistics that they talk about to this day, our fertility rates are dropping in the youth. But on the flip side of it, our youth, maybe in the 20s, let's say, are drinking a little less, so they say, may not eat the same level of meats that we do, are a little more fitness and aesthetic minded, right? And they're also looking for that, popular term now, work-life balance, right? Stress relief. They want more experiences rather than, things. So maybe that mindset shift is what's going to change the game for healthcare. So if it doesn't fix the baby boomer or some of the generations near that place, it'll change the ones that are coming behind us.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's where you get your
And
paradigm shift. 'Cause
and
it
that's
takes time.
so
I
important.
get it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
it's going to take time, but it's gradually changing.
Yes.
People are taking more control of their healthcare, their wellness.
Yeah.
And we should all be very happy for that.
Right.
That,
Right.
that,
I agree.
that shift is happening.
And we've been so passionate about this, even in our organization, United Doctors of America. We have a network of 200 doctors. We do work with Washington, D.C. We've talked with Maha, Kennedy's office. We've interfaced with HCA hospital systems, Cleveland Clinic hospital systems, Tenet hospital systems. These are some of the biggest boys and girls around the country. And they all want to make the shift on some level, but it can't move as quick as they'd like it to be. So what we've done, so if you remember our mission, we push for advocacy for patients and providers. We push for healthcare reform, healthcare transparency, healthcare wellness. And since we're talking about wellness, I'll focus on that. What we are doing, it's already in motion. We want wellness to be a combination of the pill-popping commercialized medicine combined with this holistic longevity microbiome type of care. And if you bring both worlds together, it fits under this world of wellness. And to address this matter, we believe that we could be helpful to the general public as well as the government. We've created a wellness panel of some bright souls. We have physicians, we have business owners, we have Bradley Hilton, we have one of the doctors to Oprah Winfrey, we've got some hospital executives who would serve in our wellness panel within United Doctors of America to help give direction to some of the private sector, the public, the government. So we're already enacting this process to kind of be a little bit of a hub or a go-to of how you can blend both worlds, because I don't think it's one answer, you know? So, and that's where my new programming is coming into play, which is exciting for me too, because I'm seeing my own evolution in that way, in all of this. And, you know, maybe that can happen to more and more of the world. It's also fitting into what Kennedy is doing. It's fitting into what's happening around the world. This will fit into AI and tech as well, because that's a whole nother progression in our species development and evolution. So we're right at that appropriate intersection to make the choices. Elon Musk is going to take us to Mars. Guess what? There's going to be new diseases. There's going to be new medical issues. There's going to be new medical care. There's going to be new discovery and new innovation with all of these things too.
Especially with the introduction of AI, which is massive, and we could have a whole nother podcast on that.
Indeed.
If fantastic things that you're doing. If people
want
to learn more about you, get in touch with you, where's the best place to go, and how can they reach out to you?
No. Thank you for asking, Mark. I appreciate it. Very proud of our team. I give them a lot of love and respect. Could not be here without them. So our group, United Doctors of America, you can find us online at usauda.com. UDA is short for United Doctors of America. So usauda.com. You'll find our phone numbers. You can text us, call us, our email, our social media platforms, our board of trustees, et cetera, et cetera. So everything is there.
Well, yeah, we're so appreciative of the work that you're doing, and you know, the Hilton Family Office talks about this. We want to do things that are ultimately going to have a real impact on the world and on human beings and how they live their lives. And I think that's what you're doing, which is phenomenal. So
I believe so.
Absolutely.
We're a hell of a team. So we've made because we've all learned our mistakes on our path. I think we've learned how to do it better now.
Absolutely. And so obviously we've talked about some incredible things today. And like us, subscribe. This podcast needs to go viral. Help us let this go viral, seriously, because more people really in the country and the world need to hear about these things so they can live better lives and have better health. So having said that, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Hilton True Wealth. If you want to learn more about topics relating to building your wealth, tax planning, cutting-edge tech, and family office services, we're here to help. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode, and give us a like or a review. And if you're curious to learn more about your wealth, tune in every Tuesday for new insights and special guests. If you found value in what you heard today, share it with someone who might benefit too. For more insights, resources, and to get a free copy of our book, Hilton Wealth, How to Invest Like an American Dynasty, visit us at hiltonwealth.com. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your true wealth.